And this daily autism radio show is powered by autismtext.com. This is the only autism text platform in America, probably the world. You want to go to autismtext.com. Very easy to sign up, obviously free. And this will keep you in touch with all that's going on in the world of autism. Special deals for parents on certain products and services that we have vetted. We've talked to the founders and the CEOs, and basically just opportunities for families to really become aware of what's new and what is emerging via text. And as much as we love social media and we use it in our hundreds of thousands of families worldwide on dailyautism.com, we just really found that text is kind of an emerging way to stay connected, to answer questions, to share resources, and again, discover new opportunities for autism families. So again, you can sign up totally free, autismtext.com. We're not going to overwhelm you with text. We send things out when we think it's important, when we think it matters, and when we think it's beneficial for our families. So autismtext.com. That is the sponsor today of our daily autism radio show, which you can get on all of our podcast platforms. I think we're on like 19 different platforms now. So dailyautism.com to link to the major ones. And of course, at dailyautism.com, you can also link to all of our social channels, our LinkedIn newsletter, which is growing like crazy. I absolutely love the LinkedIn platform for special needs families. You can link to it there at dailyautism.com. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and again, all of our podcast platforms are there as well. Want to get to a couple of trending news items today that have been really interesting in the world of autism. One out of Montgomery County, Maryland, which is just outside of Washington, D.C., kind of a very bizarre, I'm glad it ended well, but a very bizarre set of circumstances. But I think also it really kind of paints a picture of where we are right now with autism and the growing. I don't even want to. I mean, growing is one thing. Like something grows, right? It's in increments, but the rates, how it's just exploding. And this news story is really something else. We were talking about it on LinkedIn and TikTok, and we really got some interesting comments from people, but a fascinating news story for sure. Also, I want to recap something. Last week, we spoke with Dr. John Young, the Young Foundational Health Center in Largo, Florida. We have linked him to all of our content. You can link right to his office, right to his center at dailyautism.com, the Young Foundational Health Center. But I want to recap something he said. I thought it was really interesting as it relates to vitamin D, how important it is, and how you may need more of it than you actually believe, and that may even depend on where you live. So I want to get to that coming up as well. Also, one of our great partners, Ling Huang and Technology North. Ling Huang, let me tell you, Ling, he took a purpose. His son is his inspiration. His son, Brian, is really awesome. He's on the autism spectrum, and Ling is just a fantastic guy, great business guy, and always into technology and consulting. But he decided to take his skills and pivot those skills. And now he has Technology North, a company that he runs. They're growing. They're doing awesome things as far as employing young adults on the spectrum, and not just employing them, but giving them real meaning, giving them a community, delivering a community for these young adults who inevitably, obviously, will grow older, and they'll have needs. They'll have monetary needs. They'll have healthcare needs. They'll have social needs. They'll want to be a part of something. They want to have friends. They'll want to do events together. And that was his inspiration with Technology North. You can go to technologynorth.net, which I know many of you have across our radio and social media audiences. And I'm going to do something today. We did this about 6 months ago, but Ling is the center, him and Technology North, of a documentary called Cliff 20, which is totally free on YouTube. It's about 23 minutes long. I've watched this a bazillion times. It's just so cool. But, I found that the audio of this was just as impactful as the video. And we have so many new people in our audience. So I'm going to play that at the end of the show today. The last 20 or so minutes is going to be the audio from Cliff 20. Again, you can find it on YouTube, totally free, Cliff 20. And it chronicles the story of a couple of families and them interacting with Ling and his company, everything the company does, what they try to do for these young adults and their families on the spectrum. And I'm going to play you that the last 20 minutes or so because, again, we have so many new people who have joined our audience, and I want them to hear this and really understand that there are people out there really working hard, really pivoting their businesses, pivoting their skills, and really trying for these families who are dealing with a lot. We're dealing with a lot, right? It's one thing to say, oh, I have kids and I'm busy and I'm running to this school and that practice and this and and I did the same thing really with 4 of my 5 kids. But then when Cal was diagnosed, I almost forget what it was like for that to be a stress. Oh my gosh, I have 2 practices ending in 30 minutes. How will I get there? Well, here's how you'll do it. You'll go to one that ends first. You'll pick up the kid. And then you'll go over to the other one that ends second, and you pick up the kid. And yes, it will be a busy 30 minutes, but you'll get through it. It's going to be fine. Those were the days, right, where we thought that was a stress, and so many challenges now with kids on the spectrum. And it's personal, it's meaningful, and so we have to do it. And there's a lot you can find out about yourself when you go through that. But I always talk about somebody who's got a skill or a passion, and then they pivot to something that's very personal. And that many times is where the sweet spot is, and that's what Ling has done with Technology North. So technologynorth.net, but looking forward for so many of our new listeners and viewers, members of our audience, to hear this Cliff 20 on YouTube. Feel free to seek it out yourself and watch it. It's very impactful, and I think you'll really, really get something out of it. Also, our friends at Begin Health. These are prebiotics. There is a difference, prebiotics and probiotics. I didn't know that when I got into this. I also didn't know how important prebiotics were for many of these kids on the spectrum for their guts and their gut health. Think about it like this. Prebiotics are like the food that keep the probiotics healthy. It's an ecosystem. So you can have the probiotics, but they need the prebiotics. So many of us skip that step. Begin Health has a great product. We've been using it now for nearly a year. You can grab our discount on that at dailyautism.com. Just click on the Begin Health button. We put it in Cal's water. I thought there was no chance he'd fall for this, but it doesn't change the texture and it doesn't change the taste. You can't even see it. I've done plenty of videos on this on Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok, and you can see, you mix it up, it just disappears. But they're getting the fiber, the prebiotics. It's the same exact molecular structure as breast milk. This is really good stuff. It has really helped Cal's tummy, all of the constipation, all of the pain, the aggravation. And it's also, we've talked about this before, it's really opened him up to new foods. And I think a lot of that is, now I'm guessing here, but I think a lot of that is that his tummy doesn't rumble anymore. It's not hurting. It feels good. It's not bloated. So I think he's thinking to himself, okay, I can try new foods. It's okay. Whereas before, he had a very limited diet, 2, 3, maybe 4 things, and that was it. And at one point, we had to take Cal. We had to call 911. The ambulance had to take him to the hospital. He had this terrible gut pain, and they did all these scans, and they said he is just backed up. And we were going, well, he goes to the bathroom. He's fine. His gut was a mess. So that's when we had to get to work. Begin Health. They're called Growing Up Prebiotics. Again, if you're going to try them, just grab our discount, dailyautism.com, and click on the Begin Health button. I'd love your feedback on that, too. All the feedback I get is great. And like I said, so easy to do. So I'd like for you to try that out. And if you haven't researched, honestly, the guts and the microbiome, everything with these kids, these ASD kids, you really got to look at that. And you got to start at the beginning, which is prebiotics. I always thought people were pronouncing it wrong or spelling it wrong. I would say, you mean probiotics? No, it's prebiotics. So dailyautism.com, Begin Health button. That is where you want to start with that. Also, our friends at Angel Sense. This is the GPS tracking and so much more. Just did a video on this last week. They also offer waterproof accessories. I got to grab one of these. I don't have one. But you think about this. In the summer, everybody's vacationing, right? So lakes, pools, oceans, rivers, boats, everything, or even afternoon thunderstorms. Now, the device itself will hold up, and if it gets splashed or gets some rain, that's fine. But what if the child was to become submerged? You still want the device to work, most importantly, right? And we know so many of these kids seek water. To many of them, it's a detriment, can be a sincere danger. So angelsense.com for that. You can also link through dailyautism.com and click on the Angel Sense button. But you want to check out their waterproof devices, their waterproof protection measures. Again, I got to grab this too, because that really is the moment, if they were to go in water, to still be able to track them would obviously be so important. We know this is real-time tracking. I've done so many videos and even separate podcasts on this. You can talk back to your child who would be wearing the device. They can SOS button you. You can be alerted if there's an emergency, if there's somewhere they're not supposed to be. Also, the first responder app, so you can actually identify people who you would want to know. Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a grandparent, anybody around your community. You can notify them, hey, something's wrong. I don't know where my child is. And then they would be sent via text real-time coordinates of where they are. So you can get as many people on the ground searching as possible. And it's not even searching, it's just getting to them because, again, we know exactly where they are. Dailyautism.com. Click on the Angel Sense button. So I want you to check that out. And again, the waterproofing capabilities and the waterproofing apparatuses that they have now from Angel Sense. So I want to play this clip from Dr. John Young. Last week we had him on. We talk to him every month. Just fantastic information. It is the Young Foundational Health Center in Largo, Florida. But he talked about vitamin D, and we know how important this is, especially in these autistic kiddos, really so many people just in general, even neurotypicals, lacking in vitamin D. But when it comes to autism and the very limited diet and the very limited ways you can get vitamin D, listen to what Dr. John Young talked about in relation to maybe where you live and vitamin D. Here is the clip.
If you live north of Atlanta, that parallel, you make no vitamin D from November 1st to April 1st. So you can be outside naked and you'll not make any vitamin D because of the angle of the sun.
So pretty fascinating, right? North of Atlanta, basically, starting in late fall, going all through the winter till April. And because of the angle of the sun, you're not able to make vitamin D. I mean, I would never have guessed that. And again, when it comes back to our autistic kids, that is crucial, right? So that's something you've really got to think about. And you think about north of Atlanta, I mean, it's most of the country. And it's not just Atlanta and north, but it's that whole parallel, right? So going all across the country, Atlanta all the way west to the Pacific, I mean, that's most of the country. It's really incredible. And if you do the research on vitamin D, what it does for the brain, basically making you happy, help being calm, content, peaceful, it's really important. And again, I think most of us are not getting the vitamin D that we need in general, neurotypicals. But when it comes to the neurodiverse, even more important. And you can go and you can check out all of our conversations with Dr. John Young. Go to our YouTube channel, which you can link to from dailyautism.com, or all of our podcast platforms, which so many of you have done, getting tons of messages. And again, Dr. John Young, youngfoundationalhealth.com. But again, link to him at dailyautism.com. And he'd love to answer your questions and just fantastic information, just new stuff you haven't thought about. And this is somebody who's got just a plethora of experience, but has taken the steps to researching and further researching. How can this help autistic kids? How can this help the families of the autistics? Really interesting stuff. We've talked diet, we've talked protein, we've talked iron, we've talked all kind of things with the brain. And so really, really interesting about the vitamin D. That's something I think you should spread to people that, that live north of Atlanta in that parallel and really understand what you have to do. Very, very important stuff. And we're looking forward to talking to Dr. John Young again here in the coming weeks. Also, we have to say thank you to our friends at the original Krabby Bill's, Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. These are autism awareness supporters, great business people, great members of the community. They do so many things for the community. And, Melissa and I talk all the time. It's our getaway. We kind of feel like we're on a lost island somewhere at sea, great tropical music every day, great happy hour, great food. It's the original Krabby Bill's, Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. And, when we started this platform, the Daily Autism platform, It was a very local, very Tampa Bay centric platform. What we didn't realize was, as the rates of autism, the diagnosis were just exploding, that we would, grow along with that all through Florida, the United States, and now globally. And something else we figured out is so many of you vacation here. You come to the Gulf Coast of Florida, and so we get messages all the time. Hey, we're in from Michigan, we're in from California, we're in from Costa Rica, all of these places, and they go and they visit. It's really great. They go visit Krabby Bill's, Indian Rocks Beach, and they say, thanks so much. We had a great time. And it's also great to support a family and a business that supports autism awareness. So the original Krabby Bill's, live music every day. Enjoy the seafood. I mean, those ice cold oysters and those ice cold beverages, man, it is something else. So that is our getaway, and we definitely appreciate their support. So you've heard us talk a lot about Aeroflow Urology. So many of these young kids, these special needs kids, cannot be potty trained at the typical ages, and some never. We're still going through it with Cal, and he's 6, and it's been really a sincere challenge. A lot of kids with autism are really delayed when it comes to potty training. So we want to share with you, of course, Aeroflow Urology. You may qualify for free diapers. DailyAutism.com. There is just a quick form to fill out. They say 2 minutes. It takes about 90 seconds, maybe less, and they'll let you know if you're able to qualify through insurance. So if you have a special needs child 3 and over, you may qualify for free diapers, and again, delivered right to your door. When you have to go on a diaper run, I compare it all the time to when your fire alarm battery goes out, right? It's never at noon on a Saturday. It's always at 1:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. It's never convenient. There's never a right time. And so to have these, delivered right to your door is really convenient. Obviously, special needs families, we have so much going on. And then there's a cost component. I remember when we first started talking about Aeroflow Urology and they became one of our partners, a lady said, I have twins. They're both on the spectrum. I think they were 4 or 5 at the point. And with inflation and everything else going on, she said, my monthly diaper bill is nearly my car payment bill. And I mean, that just stopped me. I said, wow, you've got to be kidding me. But it makes sense. So Aeroflow Urology, you might qualify for free diapers. Again, DailyAutism.com. Click on the Aeroflow Urology button. Also, our friends at the Lift Academy here in Clearwater, Florida, in the Tampa Bay area. This is a school for the neurodiverse. They have done just fantastic work. They have a brand new campus in Clearwater. This is like the Taj Mahal of special needs. Absolutely fantastic. I know people that move closer to the Tampa Bay area so that their children can attend Lift, and over 95% of their students are on a scholarship, and the Lift staff can help you go through that process. That can be some confusion. There can be some paperwork. There's a lot of things you have to understand. They're there to help. They understand how to get it done. It is the Lift Academy. And again, dailyautism.com, and click on Lift Academy. They're open for conversations. They're open for tours. I've toured it before. I've talked to everybody there. It really is a fantastic academy. And not only for, just students, but they have added so many programs outside of just the daily school. When you graduate, they have programs, groups of parents that get together. Everybody's very involved. It's a tight-knit family there. So really kind of an interesting culture that they've created there. So Lift Academy, again, dailyautism.com, and click on the Lift Academy button. Also, the Tampa Tarpons, they have the CureMark Sensory Suite. Listen, every family loves baseball. It's like one of the all-American things to do. And the Tampa Tarpons have done a great job with the CureMark Sensory Suite, a safe place to go. I think a lot of families like ours, you have a mix of neurodiverse and neurotypical, and everybody wants to go out and have fun, but it's hard to do that at a sporting event. It's very hard to go and do that and feel like you're safe. They have this whole suite, and you can apply to get the suite. You get it for the whole game. Again, go to dailyautism.com and click on the Tampa Tarpons button, and the form is right there. You fill it out, and they'll let you know what date they can accommodate you. And again, a safe place for the entire game where everybody can enjoy the game, neurotypical or neurodiverse. Dailyautism.com. Click on the Tampa Tarpons CureMark Sensory Sweet button. And also Dr. John Young from the Young Foundational Health Center. Again, link right to his website at dailyautism.com. Of course, we spoke several minutes ago. We played a clip from our interview last week with Dr. John Young about vitamin D. You can grab all the content that we've done across our podcast platforms. But again, link right to him. There is a special section of his website that just talks about special needs families, and individually focused treatment plans, talking about detox all the way to nutrition. This is stuff that's really thought out. And again, he can customize a plan for you, for your children. And he talks a lot about the cell, right? And strengthening the body on a cellular level, which is not something you typically hear about, when you go to a pediatrician or things like that. And I just have gotten so much from having conversations with Dr. Young, and I think you will too. And again, he just kind of breaks down each one of the patient's special needs through testing, biochemically. I mean, everything that you would ever want when your child is in the focus, not just your child, but your child's special needs. So again, you can link right to Dr. John Young and the Young Foundational Health Center at dailyautism.com, and we'll have more with Dr. Young in the coming weeks. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to get to this story out of Montgomery County, Maryland, where 6 people with autism wandered off on the exact same day in the exact same county, all unrelated. These people didn't know each other. The families didn't know each other. There was absolutely no relation to the elopement. 6 people, all different ages, in one day. And I'm reading the news story on this, and they interviewed the detective, and she's saying, I couldn't believe this. We kept getting these calls, and it's like the same story, but different people. A person wanders away. They have no idea where they are, autistic. And they talked about this happening 6 times in the course of a couple of hours in the morning, and they absolutely couldn't believe it. I mean, of course, we know that they have the propensity to wander off, but 6 people in one county in one day. It's unbelievable. I share this story, and I talk a lot about it on LinkedIn and Instagram this week, because we really have to understand where we are in this, which I think now we can say epidemic, right? You start looking at these numbers. I mean, if you would apply these numbers, these diagnosis, these rates of diagnosis to anything else, we would have been saying epidemic a long time ago. But it definitely is. But when you talk about 6 people, unrelated, just wandering off. And so what does that do? Well, law enforcement has to get on the road, right? So we have to use resources for that, which, do we have enough anyway with what's going on? There's an argument that we don't. We don't have enough law enforcement or fire department or things like that. So I share the story because there's so much we can do. Now, I'm a believer in Angel Sense, the GPS tracking technology, because it's real time. I can look at my phone. I know exactly where Cal is. It's just never a question. And he can't take the device off. Many times he doesn't even know he has the device. They also offer a watch to somebody who might be older. And if a watch doesn't bother them, that's great too. And they have no idea. Obviously, they're being tracked. They're using it as a watch. But, we have to understand that when there's regressions and progressions, I've heard so many stories of a child who's taken off and they were never an eloper. The mom and dad said, this never happened. They just never take off. And then one day they did. And that can happen at 4 or 14 or even 40. You hear about it all the time. So as a caregiver, it's game on all the time, and you've got to be on your A game. So it's really an unbelievable story. All of these persons were found. Everybody's safe, so that's good news. I like sharing those endings. But as caregivers, we've got to really start thinking about everything we can do. There was somebody in the article that talked about a neighbor letter. And basically what that does is you basically, you go to all of your neighbors and I kind of like this. I mean, it's, I think some people would say it's old school, but I think it would also show how important this is to you to knock on a neighbor door and say, listen, I have a son, I have a daughter, autistic. This could be the situation. They may take off. If you see my child wandering around, please just don't keep driving. Please stop. Please call 911. Please try to help. I think that's a big deal. I mean, I think about yesterday, I drove by my neighborhood, which is a one-way in, one-way out neighborhood. So we kind of know everybody that's in the neighborhood. But I'm passing pockets of kids on their scooters and their bikes. They're throwing the football. They're shooting basketball. And, Cal could blend in at times with kids like that, but he would also take off on his own and walk or run or whatever he may do. And I would want someone to stop and say, I don't think this is right. So it's a good opportunity, a good reminder to talk about everything you can do, talking to your neighbors, investing in an Angel Sense GPS device. There are ID bracelets. There are police departments that offer scent kits. You actually would give the police department something of your child's type of clothing, a pillowcase or something. They would keep it. And if your child were to elope and become missing, they have these dogs now, and the training on these dogs are unbelievable. We did a whole thing on this several months ago. And so the scent kit would be introduced to the dog, and the dog would spring into action. So just a lot going on now, everything we can do. But I wanted to take this segment before we air the audio here of Cliff 20, the great documentary about Technology North and Ling Huang. But just to talk about what can you do? What can you do right now? What can you do this weekend that'll help protect your child from never getting out? But we know it happens. Even the best caregivers suffer with elopement. But what can you do right now? There are police departments and sheriff's offices where you can call and basically register your child. You can say, listen, this is my child. My child is autistic. And if they ever get a call about him, they'll know. The police will know. All right, with that said, I want to get to the audio of Cliff 20. Great documentary. It's on YouTube. It's totally free, just about 25 minutes, about Ling Huang, what he's built with his technology company for young adults on the spectrum. Again, you can grab it on YouTube, watch it for free. I'm going to play you the audio here in a minute. And again, we're online 24/7, dailyautism.com.
This world isn't made for me. Every day is unknown territory, and it's a slow and challenging climb. I'm nervous with every step that I take, but a hand always reaches out and guides me through. I am here at a standstill looking over this cliff. I don't have any more heights to reach, no more room to climb. The ground is no longer in front to take a step. Do I really have nothing more to achieve? Has the peak of all my potential been reached? All the world expects of me is over, and I'm only 20.
You find yourself halfway up the cliff, holding on for, with all your fingertips, hoping that you're not going to fall because you're not trusting any longer the safety of the rope.
I feel like I'm in the middle in the ocean, but it's all dark.
They always said it was going to be different, but you never realize actually how different it's going to be.
It's just a constant worry, right? And it's insidious. It's in the back of your mind. It's always in the back of your mind. It's a canary in our coal mine that as a society, we are not as prepared for all to participate.
Connor and Aiden are turning 20, and the adult world now awaits. Will university or a first job be next, or maybe traveling the world? All the exciting possibilities of what should lie next for men turning 20 have instead filled their dad with fear.
Everybody wants their child to be happy, healthy, and not that my kids aren't happy and healthy, but are they going to have experiences that we all have the opportunity to experience in life? That's really hard, and I still struggle a lot with seeing their future.
Connor was just 3 when he was diagnosed on the spectrum with autism, a condition not understood at the time. Interventions started early with professionals filling the Henschel home, all with recommendations and expert advice of how to give him the best chance to fit into the world.
There's always been that sort of guilt of mourning that, even though I'm grateful for what I have, there's things that was missing that I wasn't going to have because of the boy's diagnosis, and that just wasn't going to be normal for me. It was hard, and it took me a long time to digest that. The lack of acceptance and understanding of who they were from our supports and people we really relied upon, that was hard, really hard.
An autism diagnosis was also given to Connor's twin brother, Aiden, news that sent shockwaves through the family.
Family meant well, but I think they were like, oh, are you sure they're going to grow out of this? This is not really the reality of it. And so you start questioning whether it is real too, because the supports in your life are wondering too. So you're hearing this from professionals. You're trying to digest what reality is, but at the time, everybody wants to wish it away. But they're still my boys.
Connor Henshaw! Go!
If you want to meet a person that has that literally genuine, caring, I'm not out to get you attitude, it's Connor. His brain would be such an interesting place to visit. He is kind of in that stereotypical, he loves numbers, he loves cars, he loves all these things that you hear about. And I think there must be some consistency and some routine behind that. That's why they find it relaxing. And so that's why Connor loves that stuff. You gotta look natural, look at me. You gotta get into an acting thing, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a photographic memory. He knows pi, the whole whatever it is. There's supposed to be some sort of pattern, but I think there's only a handful of people. He knows it. You have to stop him.
Yeah, and do you know who the goalies in Dallas still are?
Goalies in Dallas are?
Ben Bishop?
Yeah. Let's go jump on the trampoline. Yeah. Aiden is a beautiful soul who taught me compassion, patience, understanding. That life is a beautiful thing every day, and that we can survive anything. Aiden's had the worst journey, and again, I wish I could have done differently things for him and protected him, but I can't change the time, and I can't go back.
Today, Aiden lives away from his family in a group home. His journey through the school system believed to have been a traumatic experience with allegations of abuse. He now has a new additional diagnosis of PTSD and needs constant professional care.
We've always been close, and I get emotional with Aiden because some of the stuff that Aiden's gone through has been difficult to process. So, and as a parent, you want to protect your children, and sometimes you feel like you fail that. A lot of these memory things are really hard on me because I don't know why I lost them. Because they're so important to me, but I know they were there, and I feel them in my heart.
Warren spends a lot of time these days worrying about the future for his twin sons. North American statistics show only 2% on the spectrum will find work, leaving a staggering 98% unemployed.
My deepest fears are depression and that they don't feel they belong in this world. Them feeling alone. Them becoming depressed. They're smart. They're not unaware of how people think about them. And as they develop, they become more aware. 20 years ago, it was, there's something wrong with them. We got to fix what's wrong with them. Not, oh, they have strengths in there. We build on that. We help them through things. It was now a deficit, fix those things. And that was the first part of their lives was I felt I was just fixing deficits and making sure that they weren't doing anything wrong rather than what were they doing right and what could we build on. I kind of was preparing for this marathon and kind of expecting the worst, which makes your future look pretty bleak.
The hustle and bustle never end at Technology North in downtown Edmonton. The tech shop has innovated through the decades. Evolving and keeping relevant in today's modern digital world has required big minds.
First things first, it's important I stand on my ground to make myself happy.
At the core, 22-year-old Brian Wong is leading a special division of the company, beating production quotas and focusing on revolutionizing the digital world.
When I finished school, I learned how to design websites. Then it helped me to get a job. Kind of helped me to get a sense of what it's like to be a contributor.
Brian is quickly growing to be a company all-star, an achievement his dad did not see coming.
The physician says, unfortunately, I have a bad news for you. Brian have autism. My first word was said, okay, what's next? The physician says, you don't really understand what does that mean, do you? I said, no, I don't. I say, I see my boy is just fine. He sits in my lap and interacts with me. As soon as you understand what is autism about, I feel like someone using a big hammer hit you on the back. Your son may have to live in the institution for the rest of his life.
Oh no!
There seems to be a pattern. If the parents are there, actively involved, they seem to be paying more attention to it. And then if the parents is not, and unfortunately, they get life behind. So we take a very aggressive approach to work with school. My wife is in the school every day, talk to teacher, talk to the aide, try to find out, what was Brian missing.
Look at your brother. He's kind of
Funny.
One of the things we believe is we don't want Brian to be behind, because as soon as he's behind the first subject, he's going to be behind the second, third, fourth. So for us, it was, he finished school, and then right away we're doing that thing, the same thing at home, after school and the evenings, weekends. We just did whatever we can to make sure Brian was never behind, never follow behind. But that was a lot of work.
Things were hard for me for many years. I was in constant pressure for tests and whatnot.
Brian was not only frustrated, and you can tell sometimes Brian tried to pull in his hair, because it was frustrating for him as well as he goes through the process. The teacher will say, well, we don't want Brian to be in the class for taking the exam, because they're afraid Brian will take the class average below. And that was really hurting.
You can't please everyone.
In elementary school, he became a junior IT guy to help all the teachers. So anytime teacher have a subject of computer software, they will just say automatically, Brian, help. And he will actually just go out to do that kind of stuff. I start asking myself a very simple question. What will Brian's life look like after high school? I already know Brian's not going to be fit into the normal workplace or normal school place. So I start experimenting different things for Brian to do. Can Brian do this? Can Brian do this? And in fact, he can do a better job than my employees or other people and myself. So I say, oh my God, this is actually capabilities people on the autism spectrum to have. But how do we turn that capabilities into something really people can use?
27-year-old David Wilson also doesn't think this world is made for him. He's trying to carve out his place and find purpose.
So basically, on the days that I work, I wake up feeling excited and getting ready for the day. And so I get up, so I get out of bed, and then I go to the bathroom first, and then I make breakfast, then I get dressed, and then I'm looking forward to the day.
For most people, driving to work is something they dread. And for David, it's something that he celebrates, because it's a reflection of how far he's come.
My grade 11 year, I was working to make what's called a moolah, if not cash. Autism, it's a part of who I am, and it does give me a special ability, have an excellent memory, and a chance for employers to recognize that I'm capable of doing good work.
David is part of that 2% who have been able to find employment, blazing a trail for others on the spectrum.
At the age of 20, they are now deemed, in every jurisdiction in Canada, to be adults in the eyes of the law. and that they're individuals that are going to be able to be independent and supporting themselves. Of course, that's not always the case for kids that are diagnosed on the spectrum.
If I didn't have a job today, I'd probably be sitting at home watching TV or playing games most of the time.
When the child's 4 years old, 5 years old, there's all kinds of supports in place, and those supports are in various measures of decay, if you will. As you're approaching this age of 20, there is no opportunity for my child to achieve that. And that's what every parent, whether they realize it or not, that is what's in the back of their mind. What happens when my child's an adult? Will they be able to, and they start filling in the blanks, get a job, live independently, support themselves? Will they be okay? Will they be okay when I'm gone?
Well, this morning is exciting. We, through some of the community members and getting to know the autism community, we've heard of a fellow named Ling Huang who actually operates a tech company who has been helping out people on the spectrum. So it's an opportunity to sort of meet someone who is actually interested in his abilities and finding out what he can do and whether he can contribute to his business.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Come on in, please.
Technology North started as a regular software tech company over 20 years ago. As Brian became more involved with his dad's company, they found a niche with a revolutionary focus of giving employees on the spectrum a supportive working environment.
When we received a diagnosis with autism, 2004, it was 1 in 150 boys. That was the ratio. Now, the latest prevalence, according to CDC, is 1 in every 44 child. You can say hi, Brian. Say hi to Connor.
Hi.
Performance is measured here with state-of-the-art technology. Ling developed special software called RoboCoach. The software alerts managers if an employee is needing special emotional assistance. It's become a safe and reassuring work environment for most adults on the spectrum. Today, Connor will be assessed to see if he might be a good addition to the team.
So let's pick up 10. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Each new employee begins with an evaluation of their level of willingness and ability to follow directions.
There we go. Excellent.
So this test is for 2 reasons. A, we test your hand movement.
Yeah.
The second thing is we see if you are coachable.
The meeting with Ling was really good. Ling brings a certain strength to this whole opportunity. He has a unique team that's supporting these folks. So for Connor, I can see the success there because I can see him trusting these people. So I feel that this type of environment would provide Connor with the security and the safety and the trust that he needs to be successful.
Okay.
I'll see you on the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay? Grab your bag.
Okay.
And you go for a workout. Thanks so much, Stephen.
You're very welcome.
Some kids were mean to me, but then along the way, some kids were being friendly and decides to tolerate with me. The real challenge with autism is that it's a challenge that some kids don't understand. We should treat autism like as a naturality. I mean, show some respect and learn tolerance towards others.
So the system is perplexing, it's confusing, it's fragmented.
As soon as a child becomes 18 years old, you are cut off all the fundings. The help you used to have, no more. We are hoping, we are waiting. Well, I say to myself, if everyone is hoping and waiting, nothing's ever going to change. I realize there's something you need is to create a system. So the system can outpace a single person's life. Once the system is in place, then people on the autism spectrum is not depend on one person anymore. They can work with the system on a perpetual basis. I know how to create the systems. I have the capabilities, and also I'm a parent. I ask myself, if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
If we can figure out how do we do it for, this population, with all the resources that are being brought to bear, If we can figure out how to find a solution for this population, the rising tide will lift all boats.
It's your duty to help other people because we are here to help each other.
Connor has been working on a trial basis with the A-Team digitizing documents. It's his first independent job in an office environment. Today, he and his dad will find out if he has a future on the A-Team.
The third thing is also very exciting. We work with the Western Senior Center to starting a new project. If we can do good work, we'll probably get a lot of business in that area, right? And plus, we can help other people on the spectrum to find job and retain the job.
Yes.
Is that something very interesting?
Yes.
Yes. So, Warren, I want to basically brief you on Connor's interview. I think Connor is very coachable. He does have a certain, behavior. For example, we can tell he has a self-talking behavior, and that's something we have to work with you and to address that. But he does show a willingness to work with other people and follow the instructions. Those are the elements we look for. Definitely, we give Connor a chance during one or two, the first cohort or second cohort, to have Connor in to start working with us.
Come on in, Connor.
Yes, we are the 18. Are we working together? Yeah!
They can learn skills, we know that. They can learn how to do stuff. It's the confidence and being able to do that on their own. They haven't been given a lot of that support over the years, so this gives them a lot of opportunity, and I really like the fact that you also support them at different levels, whether it takes a little longer or not, you may be surprised. But over time, if they build some confidence and stuff, I think we can only go upwards from there. Really appreciate this and look forward to seeing it. So I'll follow you. You go ahead there, boss.
It's been good. I actually have seen some evolution in Connor's ability to sort of find a niche and find something and realize that he's employable. I know that sounds maybe hard to believe for most people, but I don't think that he has recognized that he is something of value and that can actually contribute. So I think by going through this process and by having the opportunity to do some further training outside of other things he has done, has given him some more self-confidence and knowing that there is potential for him within our world in terms of being employed and being a part of a team.
It was great being at Ling's.
What do you think? Is it a good opportunity to do a job there?
Yeah, it was. It sure is.
That's good. Are you excited?
Yeah.
It's nice to be a part of something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything else you feel about Ling's
No, that's
business?
it.
That's it?
I think working with Ling and his team and recognizing that we can push the envelope and the boundaries and understanding that my son can contribute more has helped me a lot through this process too, and giving me more confidence to know that he has a place as well. And I know this isn't meant to be about me, but it actually is a good feeling after all these years to know that Connor can work and be a part of a team and be a part of a company.
Maybe one day this will no longer be news. Maybe one day we'll be looking back and saying, well, of course, this child that has a diagnosis of autism can hold a job, drive a car, live on his own. All the things that we all take for granted. Autism is a lifespan condition. It's going to affect into adolescence. It's going to affect into adulthood. It's going to affect into the geriatric years. You plant the seeds. You have faith that the seeds will grow. They'll germinate, they'll take root. And what we do to help that most fragile of plants actually helps all the plants. We can protect that plant by growing a forest around it that will shelter it, support it, give it the encouragement, give it the role model to say you can be that. And if you don't achieve this height, that's okay, because your job is to be you.
What if we all work to make that garden grow, helping the struggling seed? Maybe I won't grow to be as high as the others, or maybe I grow to be something you never imagined.
That is the audio from Cliff 20. What an unbelievable documentary on YouTube. It's totally free. Again, search it. Cliff 20, detailing Ling Huang's company, Technology North, what they do for young adults on the autism spectrum. Not just employment, but really a community, a sense of belonging, some meaning and purpose. It's great. I recommend you watch that. as soon as you can. And again, we'll see you online 24/7 at dailyautism.com.